3.5 brood.
So I think traditionally you would only open your colony maybe once a month to do a mite check or just get a sense of how the colony's doing, whether there's queen presence, but we enter them every 2 weeks like clockwork for 6 months, and so they do get a little bit more aggressive than some colonies.
One of the main goals of our research is to see the impact that Iowa landscapes have on honeybee health. So for this part of our experiment, we've placed hives in the middle of the soybean field to see the effect that the agricultural landscape has on the honeybee ability to forage, honeybee access to different flowering plants and crops. But also we're looking at the impact that possible chemicals being used in agriculture, like insecticides. We're trying to see what effect that would have on hive health as well.
So some of the things that we're measuring to look at hive health is we're coming out here every 2 weeks and we are weighing the colonies to get an estimate of their mass, so how much honey they're putting on and how much pollen they're storing, as well as the total bees in the colony. We're also looking inside the colonies to get an estimate of the adult population, the young population, so that would be developing larvae and pupae, and then we're also looking for queen sign to make sure that our queen is in there laying healthy eggs. So this is our healthy marked queen in the colony, right here with the green dot. Her head and her thorax are about the same size, but her abdomen is so large because she lays all the eggs.
Here's another one. If I open it up, hopefully a queen comes out. And there she is.
5 brood.
And then we're looking for any presence of disease. At the same time, we're also collecting bees from the colonies and bringing those back to the laboratory with us so that we can then look at those individual bees in the colony and get a sense of what their lipid stores might be like and look at virus loads and any other indications of health that we can assess in the lab.
At the beginning of the season, we've placed 16 beehives at 2 different soybean sites. We know that from our previous research that soybean flowers can provide some source of nectar for bees. What we're interested in finding out, though, is the impact that prairies will have on honeybee health. Prairies have a lot more flowers, and flowers that bloom throughout the year. So we are also measuring the impact on hive health that that type of landscape will have.
So like you said, the prairies have a lot of flowers that bloom throughout the year, and that's one reason that we're really focusing on prairie as a conservation resource for these bees. It's because these soybeans provide a lot of blooms throughout the early season, so they're only blooming in our region for about 4 to 6 weeks. After these soybeans stop providing flowers for the bees, this area can become a desert for them, so there's not a lot of resources left in this landscape. But we are interested in seeing how that prairie resource that does bloom into the late season, a time when normally these bees would be having a nectar flow, if we could provide that nectar flow for them through these resources to boost their health enough to get them through the winter at a higher status. The workers actually have to like sort of push them out of the colony.
18 brood.
1 brood, and this is all really nice capped honey. If you see a colony bringing in a lot of honey, typically you can actually just look down from the tops and see the white cappings, and so you can see that they become honey plugged. A lot of people call that whiting in the colony. Yeah, this wasp just flew up to steal some nectar and the bees just started attacking it. So one last thing that we're doing while we're out at these sites is we're also collecting wild bees. So we have bee bowls out in the fields at all of our sites that allow us to sample wild bees throughout the season, so we can see if these stressors in these same landscape locations impact the wild bee community, and we can also look at how the honeybees interact with the wild bees in those locations. So for us to really be able to look at the honeybee effect on wild bees, we also have the same site set up for all of our locations, soybean and prairie, where we have no honeybees present and we're sampling wild bees. So we can see if those sites that have no honeybees there, the communities look a little bit different.